Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Your Money Questions Answered. I'm your host, Elena Peerson Arroyo, Client Engagement Manager at Washington Financial Group. In today's episode, we're going to answer the question, what if something goes wrong? But first, a quick word from the good folks at Compliance.
The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Global Retirement Partners LLC, a registered investment advisor. Global Retirement Partners, LPL Financial and Washington Financial Group are separate non-affiliated entities.
And now, on to the show. I'm joined today by Charlotte Kanka, Director of Client Services at Washington Financial Group. Hey, Charlotte. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am lovely. Thank you so much. In addition to Charlotte today, I'm also joined by Rick Hope, one of our talented retirement plan specialists at Washington Financial Group. Hey, Rick. How's it going?
Hey, Elena. Good morning. Good morning, Charlotte.
Good morning, Rick.
So today we are going to be discussing what if something goes wrong. So in regards to what if, I'm not on track for retirement, what if I have an emergency before retirement, during, how do we plan for these sort of things and make sure that we feel comfortable and protected enough to avoid when the inevitable something happens and knocks us a little bit off track?
Well, what are some of those things that can go wrong? You could lose your job, or you could get sick or hurt and you can't work.
Right.
So from time to time, these things, unfortunate things do happen. So, I was thinking about this, about very often people will go to their retirement plan and want to take a withdrawal via loan. There's some other things you could do that may be more helpful first, and that is consider cutting down on certain expenses. One of the things when I'm talking to participants or employees in a retirement plan, you say, why don't you eat or take your lunch one day a week to work versus going out every day? Add that up over a year's time. That's a fair amount of money. Consider eating breakfast at home and dinner at home versus eating breakfast on your way to work, things like that. Mm-hmm. Those are, discretionary expenses that you can control. Those are the ones you want to pay attention to if you do run into one of these unfortunate things, or just in the daily habit of saving money.
Well, and my husband lost his job when I had 4 young children at the time. I had a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
Ooh.
And,
Charlotte Kanka.
So at the time, retirement was the last thing on our mind. I was a stay-at-home mom, and so I wanted to keep staying at home. I just felt that was important for me and for the family. But we started saving early, and we started putting money away into the 401k. So that pause, although it was a detrimental pause as far as, gathering up assets for the long run, mm-hmm. It was a small blip in our calendar that we were able to overcome because we did start saving younger or earlier. So I think that is a big thing. Even if you have these unfortunate events that happen, if you do start and you have a savings mentality, you can get over that rough patch right away.
Yeah, and one of the things that we really stress is the importance of having that emergency fund, right?
Right.
And so you have a lot of different sort of rules of thumb about emergency savings, but I think the statistics are shocking when it comes to the majority of Americans don't have $1,000 in just emergency savings. If they have an emergency $1,000 expense, they go straight to a credit card.
Right.
And that's something that we definitely want to avoid. So in terms of rules of thumb, what do you usually stress for people that you work with in terms of giving financial advice? How much do you want them to have saved in case of an emergency or a loss of job or some sort of medical expense?
Yeah, the goal is 3 to 6 months living expenses banked mm-hmm. away. So thinking about what Charlotte just said, if you had that 3 to 6 months of living expenses banked, and it doesn't have to be 3 to 6 months of income, just 3 to 6 months of living expenses, you're in a great position in case one of these difficulties happens to be able to weather that storm.
Yeah, and so do you just put that into a savings account?
Yeah, I think it's a savings account's a good short-term place. If you can find some high-yielding money market, just something that doesn't have restrictions on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. You probably don't want to have that money invested, right?
Yeah, the deal there, Elaine, is anything, at least the way we look at it from an investment standpoint or financial planning standpoint, is anything less than 5 years you don't want to commit to the market.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And, for a loss of job, they do say that for every $10,000 you make, you should expect to look for a job for a month. So, if you're looking at a $50,000 replacing a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 job, you're looking at 5 to 7 months
right.
that you're going to be unemployed for. So
wow,
well, now it's zero unemployment practically, so it's not a bad time to be unemployed. But you just don't know when that's going to happen, if the job market's going to be as good.
Right.
And then of course you always have illnesses and sicknesses and what if your child gets sick, heaven forbid, and maybe your spouse who's working has to quit that job so that they can tend to your child. So there's a lot of unexpected things that you have to make sure that you account for when you create that savings account.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can pop up, and as you said earlier, that savings mentality or savings discipline that you develop,
Yes.
that you're going to be much better prepared to weather that storm than if you get hit with it. And Elena, you said a minute ago, most people right now today, and it's sad to think about this, but most people can't weather a $1,000 expenditure or don't have $1,000 put away.
Well, and sadly, most people can't do away with their internet in their home or their TV in their home or their cell phone, and those are all expenses that we could probably reduce, on a day-to-day basis to make that savings a little bit easier to come across, to have that extra money in your paycheck. You have to be willing to make those sacrifices. You said to eat in, but there are also things that you can do, that's strictly a monthly savings that you can make.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many random monthly auto debits I have coming out of my debit account. I think I pay for a Spotify and an Apple Music membership. And then I have some running app I haven't used since 2016 that charges me $9.99 a month, I think, but I'm too lazy to actually go in and cancel it.
How many gym memberships do you have?
Those three gym memberships?
FYI, I just canceled all my gym memberships in February.
Good girl.
So I actually went in there and I was like, I need you to get this done for me. And they looked at me and they're like, are you sure you don't want to cancel? And I had this crazy look in my eyes, this mania, please, I need to cancel this membership. And so thank goodness they didn't put up an argument because they were like, this woman is whack. So that worked out well, actually. I had no gym memberships. But what about, so let's say something does go wrong. Can you talk to us a little bit about the 401k loan option really quick, Rick?
Sure. So most plans today do carry a couple provisions in the plan. One is the 401k loan, and you can take a loan from generally as low as $1,000 up to a $50,000 maximum, and you pay that back, payroll deduction, just like you contribute to the plan. And you do get a rate of interest on that money that you borrow, so you do get some money going back into your account. It's an easy way to take money. I can tell you the employers today are looking at 401k loans because they have a lot of people abuse them. And once that money is taken out of the plan, it's out of the market. It doesn't grow as well as it could. So be careful with 401k loans. I'll just mention real quickly the other thought is hardship withdrawals. And that's probably a better place to go for money versus the loan idea if you run into a very difficult situation.
Especially now with those hardship loan, the hardship withdrawal used to be when you took a hardship withdrawal, you were penalized and not allowed to keep contributing to your 401k.
Right.
Now you can take that hardship withdrawal and continue contributing. So that's a huge plus. And I think that's one reason why that we don't want to encourage the loans or the withdrawals, because they do tend to stop deferring to the 401k.
That's right.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. There are definitely a lot of options. So the kind of some highlights when it comes to, what if something goes wrong is always you want to plan ahead for it, right? We want to make sure that we have some sort of a cushion so that we don't have to necessarily tap into these emergency vehicles. But also there's a little bit of a comfort there, right? We want you to be saving for retirement, but if something does go wrong, if there's some sort of an emergency, you do have resources from which to access these things, just being knowledgeable that they might affect what your long-term goals are, of course. But just making sure that you're aware of your options and being prepared in advance is always great. So thank you both for being here. I really
thanks.
appreciate it.
Great.
Sure.
Thanks, Elena.
Perfect. If you have a question that you'd like us to address in a future episode, shoot us an email at info@washfinancial.com. Thank you for listening to Washington Financial Group's Your Money Questions Answered podcast. Connect with us at washfinancial.com. If you enjoy our show, we'd love for you to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you access your podcasts. Until next time.